guys, it is Jaden and our resident expert Caleb here with Fantasy Tomorrow to talk Week 11 injuries, okay? And we all know that with playoffs approaching, it's more important now to know who's playable, who's not playable, and really get those lineups the way they need to be to win you a championship. So with that, Caleb's going to go on ahead and tell us which players did not play in Week 10 that we could be seeing returning soon.
Yeah, so there's quite a few. First off, Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for Atlanta. He's had an ankle injury, but he had a bye week this past week, which means he should be getting some extra rest. He should be good to go. I expect him to play in Week 11. Now, someone I don't expect to play in Week 11 is Christian McCaffrey, running back for Carolina. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury, which is really terrible because we've seen him be such a great player when he's healthy this year. And so the Panthers have said it's unlikely for him to play in Week 11, so barring a miracle, it's going to continue to be the Mike Davis show in Carolina for the Panthers. Now, Joe Mixon, running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, has been dealing with a foot injury. He missed another week. He's missed 3 or 4 weeks at this point, and he just wasn't able to put in any practices last week, which of course is going to set him back. So he needs to practice this week in order to have a chance. So if you have Joe Mixon, just make sure that you have Giovanni Bernard just in case he isn't able to finally return. Now, Allen Lazard, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, has been dealing with a core injury, and this has held him out for most of the season. But the team feels confident he will finally be able to return in Week 11, which is really good news for Lazard. He's a valuable and talented wide receiver that can produce with the Packers. Now, another talented wide receiver who could be returning in Week 11 is Sammy Watkins for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's had a hamstring injury which has kept him out for several weeks, but he should finally be able to return. He's had the bye week to rest up and get healthy, so I think he's going to be good to go and should have a good game going up against the Raiders. Now, his teammate Mecole Hardman, another wide receiver for the Chiefs, he was put on the COVID list early last week, and we don't really know whether he actually tested positive, whether he was a close contact. We don't really know, so you need to monitor that situation closely. He may not be available, and if Hardman's not there, that means probably an increased role for Demarcus Robinson and more targets probably for Sammy Watkins as well if he's also able to return. So keep an eye on Hardman as well. Now, Matt Breida, running back for the Miami Dolphins, he's been dealing with a hamstring injury which has kept him out for a couple of weeks. And he was limited in practice all of last week. So it's good news that he was actually being able to go in and practice, but it also shows us that he's going to need to progress and turn in some full practices to feel comfortable about him being available in Week 11. Now, another running back that's had a tough time is Devonta Freeman for the New York Giants. He had an ankle injury, and he actually re-aggravated it during Thursday's practice. Now, the Giants are on a bye in Week 11, so that's kind of good news. It's going to give him some more time, but just keep an eye on him, see how he progresses, and he's somebody, if he's not able to go, Wayne Gallman is the person you're going to want to have on your team to replace him. Zach Ertz, tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles, has been dealing with an ankle injury. It's kept him out for a few weeks. He's been on IR. Now, it's possible that he could return this week. It's kind of within that timeline that the Eagles have given us, but he's going to need to practice, so just keep an eye on that. And then finally, Kenny Golladay, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. He's had a hip issue, which has kept him out for a couple of weeks, and they're calling him week to week. So the only way that we're going to know whether he's available to go or is making progress is if he practices, which he hasn't yet. So keep an eye on Golladay as well.
Okay, guys, so that is players we could see returning soon that was inactive in Week 10. Now it's time to look at what went down in Week 10. So, Caleb, who got injured in Week 10 that we could see returning soon?
Yeah, so hopefully Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, will be returning soon. He had a knee injury, but fortunately the MRI showed that there was no structural damage, so it's not serious. But it's still putting him in question to play this game. The Panthers may want to play it safe and put in the backup quarterback, which I think is PJ Walker. And that, of course, if Bridgewater is unable to go, that's going to affect the entire Panthers team. It means that they'll probably be running the ball more and passing less, which would affect the wide receivers and Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. But keep an eye on that. Hopefully he gets well soon and is able to play. Now, another quarterback that status is in question is Matthew Stafford, quarterback for the Detroit Lions. He had a thumb injury. Fortunately, x-rays were negative on that, and Stafford was actually able to finish this game despite his injury. Now, the Lions are optimistic that he'll return, so that's good news for the Lions and their pass catchers. Also, Drew Lock, quarterback for the Denver Broncos, is dealing with a rib injury, which he kind of sustained at the end of the game in Week 10 for the Broncos. Now, his status is very much in question. We don't really know what's going to happen with him. The news about this just kind of broke here on Monday. So keep an eye on Lock. We'll need to see him practice to feel comfortable with him starting. Now, Danny Amendola, wide receiver for Detroit, he's had a hip injury, and that caused him to leave his game early. Now, this could be something that could cause him to miss some time, as it's caused his teammate to miss time in Kenny Golladay. And if he's not able to play, and if Galladay's not able to play, that means increased looks and snaps for Marvin Hall. So definitely keep that in mind. Tre'Quan Smith, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, he suffered a concussion. And we know with concussions, they vary drastically in what that might mean and how serious it might be. So we definitely need to just wait and see whether he's able to clear protocol. Now, Travis Homer, running back for the Seattle Seahawks, he had a hand injury which he sustained. It caused him to have to leave the game, and he could easily miss some time if it's serious enough. So it just depends on the severity of that injury. And if he's not able to go, that means good things, of course, for hopefully Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde returning soon, but also DJ Dallas and Alex Collins. So keep an eye on that situation as well.
And finally, who did we see get injured in Week 10 that could possibly miss a significant amount of time?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Drew Brees really took the worst injury of the week. He had a rib contusion, which really just means he ended up having cracked ribs, I think up to 5 cracked ribs, and a collapsed lung. So obviously that's terrible, and there's not a whole lot that they can do to really heal that. He just needs to rest and hopefully get healthy. I think the Saints' goal here is to be able to just make the playoffs and have Brees available for the playoffs. That's probably their end goal. So that means that Jameis Winston is going to be seeing, a lot of work in at QB for the Saints. It's possible Taysom Hill could be seeing more snaps as well, but he just does not have enough value to be startable in any position in fantasy. But Jameis Winston is somebody that you can come in and stream at quarterback. I think he'll do pretty well in Drew Brees' absence, but hopefully Brees gets back and is ready to go by the playoffs.
Yeah, that does not sound good. Okay, guys, so that is your Week 11 injury report. Please keep an eye on those injured players, especially go this close to the playoffs, especially those quarterbacks, because they affect the whole team. We are going to say adios to Caleb, and I'm going to throw up a recap. Guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate it so much. And just remember that this is Fantasy Tomorrow, where we're giving you the information to learn today and win tomorrow. And I'm Jaden, okay? See you guys next week.